Hey everyone, how you doing? Um, People are just making symbols, making eyes at me. So Justin, we've got Justin's here. Hey Justin, Iridescent Sea and Deanne from Blue Crescent Tarot. It is lovely to see you. Uh, these lives are normally a wee bit quieter, so it might just be like a smaller group of us that are here today. I would imagine that the notice is still making its way out, so we might see the numbers go up a wee bit once the notification goes out. So we're here to talk about the Maybe Tarot, and it is the fives that we're doing this month. Um, oh, hi Paula, I can see you as well. How are you doing? So apologies first of all for not being here last month. It's just a health thing. I think I've explained before. I hadn't been well. So yeah, I think I really wasn't well. I was kind of a bedridden at this point last month and wasn't really able to kind of put the slides together and do all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's nice to be back. We had a nice session on Sunday on Zoom, and I'm looking forward to another one today. I hope that sorry, I might need to mute every now and then cough a wee bit because I've still got a pretty nasty cough and I don't want to cough into the microphone. So yeah, excuse me if I have to mute from time to time. But what was I saying? Um, oh, Simon's saying he has an error. Can anyone see me? Can you let me know? Can you give me a thumbs up or can you let me know if you can see me? I can see Deanne saying yeah, yes, Simon. So maybe um, I didn't see you can see me. Right, all right, okay, that's good. Simon says message deleted as well. See, I can still see it here, unless you've typed another message above that. That is. But I can still see it here, and I can still see it in YouTube. So don't worry, Simon. I've not blocked you or anything like that. Um, let's see. Laura's here as well. Backyard Naturalist Tarot. I saw Laura in Shaniqua's live. Um, excuse me. I'm sorry. So Shaniqua from What Shaniqua's Into was live yesterday and today. Um, Shaniqua is creating a tarot deck called the Afro Drip Tarot, I think it is. And she was like creating the Mentor of Swords, which is kind of like the Queen in her deck. So it's really good. Like she's creating it digitally, like digital art on her. I think it's an iPad. Um, and it's really interesting to see that process. So for those of you that are here, I would highly recommend you have a look at Shaniqua's channel. It's what Shaniqua's into. If any of the mods are able to, if you could pop a wee link to it in the chat. Um, she's a lovely person, so she is. I think she's more active on Instagram than she is on YouTube, and I think the Instagram name is the same. What Shaniqua's into. Um, but really good. So highly recommend you watch. Right, let's see. Right, okay. I think see, I've noticed that sometimes on channels where I'm a mod, it takes out my. I'm sure it does it every now and then on Deanne's channel because I'm sure I've called Alex from Lazy Genius some like not anything bad. I greet him with like I don't know, you sexy beast or sexy man beast or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Usually I'll push it a wee bit, but I've noticed that YouTube had started to redact and delete my messages. So uh, yeah, excuse me. So Simon, I'm assuming that you can see me now, and that that no one else is having an issue. At least I hope that's the case. So shall we get started then? Let's see. I'm going to think it past this because there's not really any point in showing this. I suppose So this is I always have this as the front screen. Sorry, let me move the comment. Um, it's the only thing I really want you guys to take notice of is this the first two bullet points, I guess. It's important to me that everyone who wants to watch this and learn from it feels that they can. If there's something that I can do that might make this a better experience for you, or in some way a better learning experience, then please let me know. If there's anything that I can do to accommodate. Um, So again, just when I've been doing the minors, I've been starting off with the kind of elements in the numerology. So we've got fire, which is about energy and movement, passion, desire, spirituality, the divine, purpose of your life, your career, your goals, your superconscious, which is that kind of a higher self, and having to do with the soul. Air is knowledge, thoughts, ideas, logic, communication, words, free will. Uh, and consciousness and having to do with the mind. Water's next, and that's feelings and emotions, intuition, love, relationships, subconscious, and having to do with the heart. So any of these messages from our unconscious part of our mind is what tends to be represented by water. And then finally, earth is the body and health. It's money, work, your home, family, comfort, the real mundane world. It's the harmonizing of the other three elements and having to do with the body and physical environment. So all other three elements, fire, air, and water, they all kind of uh, come into themselves and they're manifested in the real world, in reality, with the element of earth. And then, so because we're doing the fives this week, um, I've got the Hierophant here, and the extract from the book for the Hierophant is traditions and institutions, religion and spirituality, education, teachers and mentors, growth through challenges and life experience. And then we've also got 15, which is the devil. So opposition by self or by others, lies, illusions, delusions, half truths, misrepresentations, bondage and enslavement, materialism and greed, power, money and corruption, selling your soul, hell, and responsibilities. Um, so within the fives, we're really kind of there's a lot of challenges in the fives, and I think like most of us, whether we read by numerology or by, whether we learn by Smithway or some other kind of a standard tarot deck, will tend to look at the fives as the kind of a challenge number. It's where we kind of come up against our conflicts and where we're really tested. Um, and I think that's reflected in both the Hierophant and the Devil. The Hierophant can be a challenging card for lots and lots of us anyway. But it's also a card of learning, and that's the important thing, and that's what we maybe don't. Uh, what we maybe don't see in the kind of a standard cards, the standard five cards as much is it's not just about having a shit time of it. It's about the growth and the learning that we get from that. We're going to see, but at some point, I think it might be in the first one, the Five of Wands. Um, Marie describes the fives as the pit that we go down to find our gold. So it's those kind of a shit times that we have to go through in order to grow and become more self-aware, and better people in general, I guess. Um, and I think that we see that nicely. That learning from difficulties reflected in the Hierophant and the Devil. Okay. Um, as always, people, please, if you've got things to add, if you want to. Just as he's not able to find that channel, let me quickly see if I can find it for you because I'm sure I should have it. I was watching a live just recently. There we go. I'm sorry. I'm humming the Little Nas X and Billy Ray Cyrus song because I was listening to it in the car. That should be a link to what Shaniqua's into's Shaniqua's channel. So please do pop over and subscribe and check out some of your lives, our recent lives, because see some really cool stuff. Yeah. if you've got stuff to add, if you've got any additional thoughts or any thoughts on the cards that we're looking at, please pop your comments in the chat. Later on, after we've looked at the four cards, we're going to do some readings. And it really does work so much better when we're reading for real questions. So if anyone here has a particular question that you want to ask about, sorry, if anyone's got a particular question that you think fits in with the themes of the fives or one of the particular fives, then um, keep it in mind. Type it out somewhere and get ready to copy and paste it or something. And we'll take your question when we come to the reading section, because I think it's important to learn not just by looking at the theory, but by putting it into practice as well. Right, enough of my face. Let's move on to the first card, which is the Five of Wands. Okay, so we see the lion here. We've got it moving through this dense forest. So the lion is described in the book as a piece of the sun which is broken away. It symbolises our untamable desire for life. Uh, the lion's roar is also described as a portion of eternity that is too great for the eye to behold. So I'm not sure whether the roar is if you can see my mouse here, yeah you can. The roar is maybe what Marie was trying to capture by this kind of aura. I'm really not sure. It doesn't go into that. It's not that specific. But Marie characterizes the energy of the fives as the individuality that's given to the fire from the four. So if you remember the Four of Wands, it's that kind of a big towering tree with a kind of a fiery sky. Okay. So once that fire is channeled, and once it's channeled into something, what she's saying is that something that it's channeled into, the individuality that we give to it, is what we see in the five. But it's also, if we think forward, if you've had a look and know what the Six of Wands looks like, the sixes are all shown by archangels, and in the Six of Wands we have the archangel Michael, and we see him with a spear, and he's slain a demon, a kind of a serpentine type demon. Um, so the five, the energy in the five is also like the tip of the spear and Michael's spear and the six. Okay. Um. Okay. Oh, hey Elaine, how are you? I'm loving listening to Chris. Thank you. 8 hours on a ferry from Dublin to Holyhead. This is the perfect chill. Now I'm on dry land with my feet up. Oh, I hope that you've enjoyed your ferry ride, Elaine. I know it's not for everyone. I quite like being on the ferry, to be honest. Deanne, feeling as though you're in a five phase of life right now, that's for sure. Doing my best to sit with things, dig deeper in my rituals. Um, let's see, I'm just making sure I'm not missing any comments. I just love how she's set up this deck. Um, as well as the sun, the lion is also a symbol of integrity and heart. I mean, we're probably all kind of are familiar with, the story of the lion and like the Wizard of Oz and various other representations. Like think of Aslan and Lion Witch in the Wardrobe and that kind of a thing. It's a symbol of bravery and of heart and integrity and being true to yourself and that kind of a thing. So the card represents perseverance and meeting challenges head on with heart and integrity. Um, the lion is also used at various points throughout the deck to symbolize the Omega. And what I mean by that, uh, there's this idea of God as being split into almost two parts. There's the kind of innocent side of God, which is we see being represented by the lamb and like the eight of discs. Um, we also see it being represented by the unicorn and the five of cups, which is coming up today. So that innocent side of God, but then there's the more fierce side of God, which is represented by the lion. Um, so this is the wise and fierce side of God, the lamb being the innocent and gentle side. So we see this forest. We've seen the wands being represented by trees, and the two and the three and the four. So in the two, we've kind of built up. We've built our energy up, and the three, we've kind of taken action. The two trees cross, and then the Kundalini builds up. So we take action. The energy bursts out, and the four it's channeled into something. And then here we see this, all of a sudden we've got this dense forest of trees. So it's almost like the element is getting out of control. It's becoming maybe not unmanageable, but more challenging. Sorry about that. Um, so the aura of the lion, if you look at it, when I look at it, I almost see it as being quite murky, weary. It's like the aura is being polluted by the challenges that the lion is facing. Now, I'm careful not to say that the lion is being beaten. It's not. You can see that it's very much meeting its challenges. It's still bounding through those trees, but you can see that it's affecting it. And you might. I look at the lion itself. Its thinned out face, its body almost looks quite thin. I look at the lion and I almost see it. The challenges having an effect on the lion. So the fives, these difficult times that we go through in the fives, they definitely take their toll on us. But the nice thing about the fives is we can come out the other end of it. And in particular, the nice thing about the Marielle deck is we can see that in these cards. It's not just that we're seeing, the big fight or the defeat in the swords or the bereavement and the cups. We're kind of getting a hint as to find working our way through that and the guidance and the support that we need. Um, Let's see. Paula says, thanks for taking a month off. It gave me a chance to catch up and watch all the videos that I'd missed. Oh, I'm glad, Paula. I hope that you enjoyed watching them back. Deanne says, interesting. I drew the Pathfinder personality card today from the Cosmovisions Oracle, and it is represented by a lioness but with human legs. Well, that's interesting. So I know that is it a lion with a human face as the Sphinx? Is that a lion? I'm not sure. But I'm not sure what a lion with a lion's head and a human's legs is. If anyone knows if that mythological creature has a name, then let me know. Okay, so if we bring everything together, we've basically got using strength of character and persevering through challenging situations. Okay, and in a reading, this card will often come up to show that the querent has a challenge to overcome. They might find that so far it's been clear sailing, and this is the first time that they've really met any resistance. Um, so they've kind of had the ace, the two, the three, and the four, which is all kind of a quite positive movement so far. But then all of a sudden we're met with the challenge of the five. So it says, in a way, this is a test of resolve. How badly do you really want this thing? Do you still want it even after you've seen the shit side of it? Okay. So we often associate competition and challenges presented by other people with this card. Think about the Smith Waite Five of Wands. Quite often we take our passionate endeavour so far. So we have the idea, we build on it, we take the action, and then we receive validation in the kind of a four. But we've never really had to deal with the prospect of others coming into the situation. We've never had someone in come in and be a dynamic in the whole thing that we're doing. But all of a sudden we're having to deal with that here. So the querent might be dealing with outside influences and their effect on the situation for the first time. Okay, so that's the Five of Wands, people. Um, I will. I don't see any more comments here. What I'll do is I'll kind of stop and highlight them as I see them. Usually, what I like to do is before we move on to the next card, I'll go back and I'll highlight all of the comments that have come in on like for example, you're the Five of Wands. Um, I can, I'll just highlight them as I see them. That's maybe a more smooth way to do it. Okay, here we have our beautiful Five of Swords. Okay, so we've got a representation of Athena here. So the Greek goddess of wisdom and strategy, Athena, um, surrounded by her owls. Now both Athena and the owls are symbols of wisdom, strategy, discipline, and civilized action to resolve conflict. That's taken from Landscapes of the Abyss. That's taken from the book. The fives all show challenges and suffering. This card shows dealing with that through intelligence, through strategy, reason. discipline and philosophy. So the ability to look at things objectively with a measured and balanced point of view is imperative here. The eyes now, you'll see that maybe not I've not kind of captured it so well on the this picture of the card, but if you look at the card and if you just look at representations of Athena throughout, art, she's often drawn with these kind of really bright, piercing eyes, the same as the owls are. And that's supposed to represent, sharp, her vision being sharp, bright. Sorry. Um, it symbolizes acute vision, sharp vision, the ability and the need to see through, the bullshit I've put here, but see through falsehoods and whatnot. Um, so this character isn't just identified as Athena; she's also characterized as Eve. Eve being from the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve. So also identifies the figure as Eve. Eve symbolizes life and soul. Um, and then we have Adam, who we'll see in the Five of Discs, who symbolizes the earth and flesh. And their union creates this child that we see. Um, and if you look, you can actually kind of see um, she's clasping onto someone's hand who's out of the picture. So see if you line up the Five of Swords and the Five of Discs, um, you can kind of see them as Adam and Eve. It's actually quite nice. So with the above in mind, the child could represent taking the solutions that are achieved through reasoned intellect, okay, the air side of it, the Eve side of it, and applying them to the situation and the real world and reality. So that would be the more earthy Adam side of it. So it's this marriage of air and earth that we see in the child here. Okay. um, so putting it all together, we've got using the intellect, strategy, and reasoned analysis to deal with challenges. Okay. So this is a bit more of a cautious approach than what we see with the Five of Wands. With the Five of Wands, we're using our energetic self. We're powering through the challenges. We're meeting them head on. We're almost like kind of a being brave and fighting through them. Here, we're taking a step back. We're being a bit more careful and thinking about things. Um, this card is often an indication that the querent is up against something tough, which will have an impact on them mentally. Okay, so the Athena symbolism suggests the need to make an effort to remain objective and find a solution through reasoned analysis. Come away from the issue, think it through, and then come back and respond rather than react. So it's that, don't react. It's that sorry, it's that respond rather than react. That's kind of I think, quite important to the swords suit here. Um, the card has a real protective feel. Um, so if you think about how the owls are crowded around Athena, protecting her both from a physical point of view, but also her dignity. They're covering up her naked body. Um, they look at the way that the hands are clasped together, almost like they're protecting each other. And then there's the obvious kind of a parental protection of the child, and the child being wrapped in this kind of a shawl. There's a very, very protective feel from this card. Now, I know that's unusual for us for the Five of Swords, but I really don't think you can get away from that with this image. Um, so that could be that instead of attacking the issue head on like the Five of Wands, this is a time for the querent to protect themselves and or seek protection from those around about them. The best offense is a good defense. Okay. Um, okay, let me show my face and then I will read some of the comments. So we've got Elaine says, thank you folks. I thought we would never talk. I'm with my mum now, so I'm wishing you all a good night and sending love and positivity. Thank you very much for popping in, Elaine. It was lovely to see you. Um, Conrad is here. Hi, Conrad. How are you? Says hi, Chris. In a reading from is the inner reading from Marie White, or is that your interpretation? So that is my interpretation mostly of the card, Conrad, based on if I go back here to based on the symbolism part. uh, Most of that is taken from the book. There will be bits of it that are my impressions, because if you've read the Landscapes of the Abyss, with some of the cards, it can be quite a wee bit confusing, and my understanding of the reason for that is Landscapes of the Abyss started out as like something probably about this size. It started out as a massive, massive volume, and it had to be cut right down. So I think that for that reason, not all of it. You've really got to read between the lines with a lot of it. So I suppose that's what I'm saying. Some of this is me reading between the lines. When it comes on to the inner reading part, it is very much my interpretation, but based on the symbolism that we see in the card, and that's taken from the book. The inner reading part, per the book, I suppose, would be the key. So I'm just looking at the second edition book here, and it has a description. If you just look at, I've just got the Four of Swords there. So if we look at that, we've got like a description there. So we can see it. Sorry, see it here. We see it kind of going on there. So there's quite a lengthy description, and then after that we have like the this keywords section. So the upright, I suppose, would be Marie's kind of a inner reading. How she interprets the card as it comes up. Um, so yeah, I suppose it's kind of a mixture of both. Uh, okay, on to the Five of Cups, and it would help if I actually had it on the screen, wouldn't it? So for the Five of Cups, we've got this unicorn and the kind of a centre of the Garden of Eden. So the unicorn is a symbol of innocence and purity. And like I was saying before, it's the opposite of that lion. It's the kind of innocent and gentle side of God that we see represented here. And it's a symbol of self-sacrifice as well. Sleipnir is also intended to be represented by, I suppose the unicorn or the horse that we see here. Sleipnir was the horse of Odin, and Sleipnir's had the ability to take its bearer between worlds, between the land of the living and the land of the dead. Um, we also have Chiron, which is represented, so we can kind of see that in the unicorn itself, but over its heart we have this kind of a key-looking thing, and that's the symbol of Chiron. Um, so that is Chiron is like the wounded healer, um, and that is I think it's Carl Jung talks about the archetype of the wounded healer as being someone who turns pain and suffering into healing. They're driven by their own wounds, they're driven by their own pain and their own suffering to help other people. Okay. Um, the well that we see that the unicorn's kind of sitting over, it leads to another. It's said to lead to another realm. So here we're kind of a really because we look at the Five of Cups as being like this. Um, it focuses heavily on the bereavement process. I tend to look at it when we say other realm. Um, I tend to look at it in line with a kind of a Sleipnir idea of, going between the land of the living and the land of the dead. It's almost like it's coming close to that veil. Um, the white unicorn here is one. So yeah, that's right. So she says in the book that the white unicorn that we see here is the same one that we see in the Two of Cups. So if you pull up your Two of Cups card, you'll see that it's got a white unicorn and a red unicorn. Its mate, the red unicorn, is later seen in the Ten of Cups. So if you look at what the rider is riding upon in the Ten of Cups, it's that red unicorn, I think. So the unicorn is here to teach us how to deal with emotional challenges and heartache with an open heart and with love and with compassion. The repeated symbols of going between the realms of the dead and the living, as well as the idea of pain and healing, uh, brings the process of loss and bereavement to mind. So it's quite a beautiful representation for this card, in my opinion. Um, So putting everything together, we get protection and guidance and teaching, going through the process of loss and receiving support, dealing with emotional challenges with love, with compassion, and with peace, and coming close to that veil between worlds. Okay. Um, in a reading, the queen might be going through a loss or some sort of difficult situation which takes a great emotional toll. They need to work through this at their own pace. The figure in the card may represent a supportive presence who is there to help the querent heal through this process. It could also be that the figure in the card is representative of the querent. So maybe the querent has been through something in the past. Maybe they are the wounded healer. And it's now for them to use their experience and their wisdom that they've gained in order to help other people through this process. The only, I suppose, what the wounded healer needs to remember is that they need to kind of still listen to their own body, okay? So don't take on the wounds of others, don't take on the other people's kind of a pain past what you're able to deal with. Pay attention to your own body, to your own heart and your own mind. Know your limits and set up boundaries. Okay, so that's important for anyone who's, help in some way helping people. I think to have those kind of a boundaries and to have those limits and just to know themselves enough to know like it, where they draw the line. Okay, and finally we have the Five of Discs. And as we said before, we can see this as a representation of Adam. Now, she talks in the book about parting the serpentine shell. So the snakes that we kind of see, they almost look like dreadlocks to me, so they do. But they're said to be snakes. They're a symbol of flesh and of the earth. Our figure here is said to be the opposite of the fool. He's fully descended into the flesh. This is described as the pit that we have to go down into in order to retrieve our gold, our knowledge of self, our knowledge of what our purpose is and our destiny. Okay, so it's difficulty that we go right down into, those pits that we go right down into in order to really discover ourselves. The figure is identified in the Five of Swords entry as Adam. That closed bracket is in the wrong place. Okay, so the figure is pulling back the snakes to find that heaven or Eden is within his breast. So that's symbolic of the trials and the suffering that we go through in life in order to realize that the peace, the tranquility, the contentment that we're searching for is actually within us. Okay, so no amount of worldly riches are going to really bring us that comfort. It ultimately has to come from within us, okay, within our heart. Um, where the Four of Discs depicts an outer paradise, here we see an inner paradise. So putting everything together, we get the suffering that we go through in order to find our sense of self-worth, our purpose, and our destiny. Inner peace being found. Okay, so that we're going with the imagery there. There's a real strong kind of an image of inner peace there. Answers being found within, looking deeper than the surface level in order to find the true value of something. In a reading, the queen might be going through a difficult period in their life. Here they're learning the value that they've placed on material gains is not what they thought it was. So the book says it's the pit that we go down to retrieve our gold. So it may be that the person has suffered some sort of great loss. The process that they're going through is coming to realize that the true value in life is within their heart and not within, perhaps the money or the riches, the material stuff that they've lost. The card could simply be telling the querent that the peace or the answers that they're searching for, maybe they're looking for a particular answer to a particular question. It's to be found within them rather than without or out with rather. Okay, So those are the slides. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope that was helpful. What we'll do now, because the comments have been quite quiet, I feel as though we've raced through that quite quickly. But hopefully it's not that didn't feel too quick. Um, as I say all the time, if anyone wants a copy of the slides, these slides or any of the previous ones, then just send me a wee message, whether it's on Facebook or on Instagram or what other way is there? Email, email. Uh, get in touch with me, and I'm happy to send them over. Okay. So, does anyone have any particular questions that they want to put to the Marielle Tarot that's in keeping with the themes that we've been talking about tonight? For anyone who's not been here before and who's maybe not as familiar with this, I do this as a kind of it's almost like a significator or a Lenormandy type thing. So the deck will get thoroughly shuffled. We'll ask the question in the normal way, and then say we're asking a question about, if you're going through if you've lost someone, for example. This was the question that I asked on Sunday. Um, so I might select the Five of Cups for that. So I would go through and find the Five of Cups, and I would take the two cards on either side of it, and we get ourselves a three-card reading. So that's how we do it. So if anyone's got any particular questions, I'm really sorry. And keeping with the themes of what we've talked about, then pop them in the chat for me. I can see Paula has very kindly popped a wee question in for us. Um, so So Paula says, I have a question for the Five of Wands. How best to deal with a co-worker who works behind the scenes for her personal gain when the rest of us are working for what is best for everyone? It's always really difficult when someone brings their self-interest into what they're doing, isn't it? And the thing is, we've all got self-interest, but it's knowing where to draw the line with it. It's uh, controlling that. Oh dear, hang on. What I'll do, I'll just pull this down and see what's going on. There we go. Yeah, it's finding that balance between our self-interest and, the greater good, I suppose you could call it, isn't it? So, how best to deal with a co-worker who works behind the scenes for her personal gain when the rest of us are working for what is best? So, how can we kind of approach that situation? And we're asking particularly, we're looking at the Five of Wands for that question. So how does Paula deal with that particular co-worker? Right, this is the annoying bit where we need to go through and find the card. That's that lion jumping through the forest, isn't it, that we're looking for? That's the Six of Wands, by the way, that I was talking about, for anyone who's not seen it. That's the spear, you see this fiery spear. Of course, it would be towards the end. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we've got the Seven of Cups. We've got the Five of Wands, and we've got the Page of Cups. Let me see if I can do this so that we can see everything. So we can still see the question and we can see the three cards. We're all good. Um, now, Justin. Although to be fair, I've jokingly threatened to do that with the milk thieves in my work. So It's fine now because my work now provides milk for us, but they never used to. We used to have to bring our own milk in and put it in the fridge, and people would, you think people were stealing our milk and using it for milkshakes. I used to do my nutting, so yeah, I used to joke that I was going to put or at least write contains laxatives on it or something. Okay, so what do we think this is saying about how Paula should deal with this co-worker? Um, is that right? So the Seven of Cups, right? So you know we've got this kind of a dark wolf in the Seven of Cups. So that's opposite to the Seven of Wands, which has the white wolf. And these two wolves are kind of so the sevens is in keeping with the theme of the chariot. So you know with the chariot, we typically have, this is a bit different, but in the chariot card, we normally have like a white horse and a dark horse. And funnily enough, what my understanding of what they represent is the white horse represents like the selfless part of yourself, the one that is all for the greater good. But the dark horse, the dark wolf, what we have here is the selfish part of yourself. It's that part of yourself that acts on instinct and is kind of a looking out for your own best interests. Okay, so it's interesting that this comes up, and that it's kind of a facing the other way from the lion. So the lion is us trying to, or it's Paula and you and your colleagues trying to wade your way through these challenges, and then you've got this person who's seems to be on a completely different page. They're facing a completely different, direction. We see the moon represented here, and we say that the lion is almost like a piece of the sun. So it's like they're in a completely different headspace, different world from what you are. I suppose the key to how we deal with that must be in the third card, of just the way that I'm reading it. And we have the Page of Cups. Okay. Um, Now, there's a couple of different ways we could look at this. For me, the Page of Cups could be saying, try and treat the situation a wee bit more lightly. Try and not take it as deadly serious as what you might be tempted to do. You could also look at this as like kind of the page is almost turning their back on the situation. So I don't know if this is saying, it's almost like don't get involved past what you have to. So see if it's affecting you and if it's giving you more work to do, then by all means, maybe you have to be like this lion and just face that challenge head on, whether that means confronting this person or whether that means going to like a superior and discussing your concerns. But see if it's not affecting you in any negative way. See if it's just irking you that this person is kind of you know, they're they're perhaps not doing things the way they should be doing, or they're on a bit of a destructive path. There comes a point where it's not your job to remove the stick from their asshole, almost. Um, so there comes a point where you have to say, right, you know what, I'm just not going to get involved in that. I'm going to turn my back on it. I'm going to turn almost a blind eye. Why should I get myself upset and emotional because of this person? So there's a balance there, I suppose, that I would see with that. I'm interested to know what you guys think. Um, so what do you guys think about that reading? The answer is I've just sent a pic of the Page of Cups to my friend. That's quite funny. Um, X-Lax is banned in the UK. Is that right? Is it some pretty strong stuff? Are you going to be on the toilet pan for a while after that? Um, Back in the day, Visine eye drops had the same effect. I think they took that ingredient out. I'm going to cough again. Hang on, I'm actually going to mute for this one. Sexy. Right, there's no one got any kind of a views on what this reading might be saying? Paula, what do you think looking at the cards and that have come up. What are your thoughts on what this might mean to your situation? I'm particularly interested in what you think. Tian says, I think that's a good read on that. I also thought maybe Paula needs to step into a bit more of a selfish role as a way to protect herself, possibly. So it's almost like if you can't beat them, join them type thing. Yeah, yeah. I'd see by the very fact that you've asked this question, Paula, I can tell that this selfishness aspect of it kind of bothers you. And also the fact that the Page of Cups comes up. The Page of Cups is an innocent soul who just kind of wants to get on with everyone and wants everything to kind of tick along. They're the kind of person who, when they make a friend, it's like they're the most important person in the world. So if that's representative of you in any way, I'm not sure whether you're the kind of a person that might be comfortable turning around and just saying, "Do you know what? If you're going to be a selfish bitch about it, then so am I." Um, you hit the nail on the head. The situation is way beyond the milk stealing, so laxatives um, aren't going to quite do the trick. Uh, Not so much in a combative way, but just enough to stand up for yourself and keep moving forward. Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. She's putting someone's job at risk. Right, okay. Um, so in that case, then, if there definitely needs to be action that's going to be taken, what I would say is you're bookended by water cards, by cups cards here. Particularly here we've got the Page of Cups and the Seven of Cups, which with that kind of a moon and what we normally think of the seven as being, it can be quite a difficult time. It can be almost like there's an illusion type thing. You're not seeing the situation as it completely is. Um, and with the Page of Cups is perhaps more. They have a more difficult time emotionally because they've still to build up that maturity that we see through the Knight, Queen, King. Um, if it's going to be the case that you need to deal with this head on, you've got that forest of trees there. It is going to be tough, and it might take its toll emotionally. Okay, so there might be a bit of emotional upset for a while after, um, uh, once it's first breached, once it's first approached, rather. Um, Maybe the immaturity aspect of the Page of Cups represents them and their reaction to it. So if you feel like you really have, if they're putting someone else at risk and something needs to give, don't expect them to totally be a decent person about it, at least not right away. It's going to take its time, I think, is what I would say. Um, I think the back turning is good advice. The supervisor has been notified. And yeah, the answer is the back turning speaks volumes. Okay. If you've got any more thoughts on this reading, then please keep them coming. Keep them coming in the chat. Um, but yeah, what I'll do is, if anyone else has got a question, we can move on and read for something different. And what I'm going to do here, because I did notice that the five cards were kind of a clumped together, I'm going to go through and just separate them. Oh, I just saw it and then it went away. So that's the Seven of Wands. And what did I do with it? There's your Seven of Cups. So those two represent the two horses in the chariot. Although the chariot card in this deck has four wolves. But yeah. Anyway, sorry, yeah, I was looking for my five cards. If anyone else has a question that's in keeping with the themes of the fives, now ideally we would want to be looking at maybe the cups, the swords, or the discs. But if you've got a question that really fits in with the five of wands, then please do feel free to pop it in the chat, and we'll have a look at it. It's not as if we're completely overrun with questions, so it would be good to. There we go. We've got the swords and the discs, both kind of sitting together. There's our unicorn. Okay. Um, if there's no questions, then I can maybe put one forward for the Five of Cups. And I will ask about the same situation that I did at the weekend, but I'll maybe change the question up slightly because I'm not really a great fan of bombarding decks with the same questions. So Five of Cups, and basically the situation that I lost my gran last year. And I've been doing a pretty good job, I think, of kind of going through that grieving process and getting past it. Um, Last week I went to my gran's grave for the first time, and it kind of brought things back a wee bit. I realised that I hadn't dealt with that loss maybe as well as what I could have done, or I wanted to. It was quite an emotional experience, and that was quite a surprise for me because I talk to my gran all the time. I talk away to her if I see something that she would have liked, or I'll kind of a talk out loud to her. So I was surprised that I found it difficult to speak to her when I was at the grave. So I don't know. I'm trying to remember what I asked at the weekend. I suppose it was just if there was anything that I could do to help myself through that process. But um, so what can we ask? I suppose just what do the cards want to tell me about that process that I'm going through? Um, so what do the cards want to tell me about that grieving process and about the loss of my gran? That that what do I need to know? Okay, so let's find our Five of Cups, which is a unicorn. There she is. Got that Page of Cups coming up again. So we've got the Four of Discs, we've got the Five of Cups, and we've got the Page of Cups coming up again. So that's really interesting because I mean, what I said earlier on about the Page of Cups is they perhaps don't have that maturity yet that's built up through, you know, working your way through the courts, going from page to knight, queen to king. Um, the king being the representation of, the ultimate emotional maturity and um, being really strong in your emotions and having that kind of a controlled aspect over your emotions, I guess. The page is perhaps a bit more prone to being upset by things, a bit less refined about how they handle their element as the pages. So in this case, their emotions. Um, that right away says that it's a process, it's a learning process, it's something that you need to go through. Um, in the Four of Discs, what really grabs my eye, I'll hold it closer and see if it's easier to see. See the star in the sky. Now, incidentally, that's kind of a similar symbol to the shell and the Four of Cups. So the Four of Cups is that kind of a seaside, and we see that shell, which is kind of the gift almost. It's the fourth cup that's been offered to the person in the Smith way. It's this gift that we sometimes take for granted, and the star also being a symbol of guidance and having something to look to keep us moving forward, and to keep us feeling positive and you know uh, keep those happy feels coming. And again, with a unicorn, we have that aspect of support. So it's like you need to find some, you find a way to keep moving forward. Okay, um, you need to find that supportive force that can help you, like, be in that space, but do it in such a way where you are progressing from page to knight, queen to king. You're gaining that strength, that hold over your emotions. That kind of a I'm saying you as though I'm talking to someone else. I find that helpful when I'm reading for myself, um, because I feel it's easier to be objective when I trick my mind into thinking I'm talking to someone else. Um, but yeah, it's almost like you need to kind of find that supportive guidance that's going to help you progress, and it's just it's a work in progress, really. And I think that's something similar to what was said at the weekend, actually, when we read this. Anyone got any thoughts about this reading for my question? Uh, so, Deanne, you've asked a question. Um, so we'll definitely come to that next. Let's see. You said, oh, that was ones. Never mind. With cups surrounding. Yeah, it was. That's right. Um, let's see. Hello, Chris. Hello, all. Just saying hi, listening whilst doing chores about the house. Hope everyone's day is good, says Jennifer Rebecca. Thank you very much for saying hello, Jennifer. It's lovely to see you. I'm glad that we're keeping you company whilst you're doing your chores. I hope that makes the chores a wee bit more bearable because I know how much I hate doing chores about the house. So lovely to see you, to hear from you. Um, okay, so that was the Five of Cups reading for the kind of a grieving process that I'm going through with the loss of my gran, and just my recent experience that kind of I brought that to perhaps more to the surface again. I don't see any more thoughts on that particular reading, so if you do have any thoughts, then pop them in the chat and I'll highlight them. That's just moved. Yeah. So Deanna said for our next reading, I think the Five of Wands could help me know the next steps to take to get through my current five energy. Okay. So, and so I'm more than happy to use the ones again. I think quite a few of the fives would be quite relevant, wouldn't they, Diane? Um, Five of Swords might be as well because you want to have. I tell you what, why don't we pull six cards for you? Why don't we look at the two on the sides of the wands and then the two on the sides of the swords? Because I feel like there needs to be that balance of head-on, energetic, you know, uh, ass-kicking action, but also it needs to be reasoned. There needs to be thought behind it. There needs to be purpose behind it. So, are you happy for me to do that, Deanne? First of all, I don't want to start pulling big spreads for you and when you're maybe not so comfortable doing that. So let me know. What I'll do, I'll maybe zoom out just a smidge. Let's see. Get my. I just added my remote thing for my where I can control the zoom and stuff on the camera. It's really annoying. I've got to re-add it every time. Here we go. Zoom. So if I zoom out ever so slightly, that might be. Yeah, I think we can get six cards there. Um, right, I'm not seeing any more comments. Deanne, let me know if you are happy for me to do that with the Five of Wands and the Five of Swords, and we'll see what kind of advice we can get for, um, for actions and kind of a putting a plan in place type thing. And whilst I'm waiting, I will shuffle the deck. This deck is becoming really difficult to riffle shuffle. I get so far and then I see, of course, it works perfectly there because I'm talking about it, but I get to a certain point and then it starts sticking. It's like I keep hitting the edges into each other and it doesn't ruffle anymore. It's really annoying. I think Deanne might have stepped away from her phone or from the chat for a bit. Um, so if anyone else has any questions for the cards that we could read, um, you know, then please feel free to pop them in the chat. If not, well, we've done two readings. I'm happy with that. We don't need to hit all four of the cards necessarily. Oops. This is what I mean, by the way, when I say these start sticking. So, how's everybody doing anyway? Have we had a good week? Are we enjoying our Thursday? There's nine of us here, so um, yeah, what's happening? What's happening, guys? What are we all drinking? I have got tea that has honey in it. And that is something that I drink when I've got a sore throat or, 'cause apparently honey's a natural disinfectant. Disinfectant, is that no, antiseptic, a natural antiseptic, that's the word I want to use. Are you guys like speaking? Because there's no chat coming up on either of my screens. Have we reached a natural stopping point? Shall we leave it there for the evening? Because I'm happy to do so. Uh, but if it's, if there's something wrong with my chats, then someone send me a message on like Facebook or Insta or something, and I can maybe try and do something about it. Oh, right. I'm seeing some chat now. Uh, Laura says, "Hi, grapefruit and basil tea here. Distracted with a project, but I've been listening in." No, that's okay. I think a lot of people do that, particularly when I'm doing Marielle stuff. People kind of have it on in the background. Deanne, I was just wondering. So what I was suggesting, I'm not sure whether you caught what I was saying, but um, just you know, without saying too much, I was thinking like the five kind of energy that you're in just now. I agree that five of wands is kind of a good card as to looking at what actions can be taken. But I was also thinking five of swords as well because it is a particular, we. I think you kind of want to have that good balance of that kind of a energetic response, that ass kicking energy, but also the reasoned and step back, thoughtful, purpose-filled approach that we see with the Five of Swords. So what I was suggesting is we could pull six cards. We could do three with we could do the Five of Wands, but we could also do the Five of Swords, and we can see what kind of a reading we get. And I just wanted your permission to go ahead and do that before I pull those cards. So that's okay. Don't worry. I didn't want to go ahead and start pulling six cards for you if you weren't really comfortable with me doing that. So um, just let me know. Just give me a thumbs up or a go ahead if that sounds good. Or if you would rather we just stuck to one of the cards, then you can let me know as well. Um, Yeah, swords works for me. It's a multifaceted thing for sure. Conrad had commented on my reading with the cups. So regarding your gran, you have dealt with it like an adult from a mature perspective. But the page of cups is maybe saying that you need to deal with it like a child, deal with that raw emotion. Yeah, no, that's true, and I think that's what kind of hit me when I was there when I was at the grave. The emotion did kind of hit me, and I found it quite difficult to be honest with you. I found it difficult to speak. Um, so I think you're absolutely right. Uh, oh, don't apologise, Deanna. It's absolutely fine. I was just shuffling away and chatting away, really. Uh, let's see. Iridescent Sea is lurking and doing stuff. Jennifer says, "Love tea and honey." Yeah, I'm the same. My problem is I've got to wean myself off it once I get better, because I really do find it really nice to drink, but I need to try and just drink like tea without sugar or honey or excuse me, without anything like that. Um, excuse me. Conrad says you need to experience it, experience the loss through the eyes of a child. You need to feel that uncensored emotion. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Um, yeah, that page is quite strong, isn't it? Thanks very much, by the way, Conrad. I appreciate your insight. Okay, Diane. So your five energy that you're dealing with right now, what do the cards want you to know or about, what's going on or what action you should be taking? Okay, so we're looking for the Five of Swords and the Five of Wands. Right, there's the swords. And there's our wands. Okay. Okay, so we've got the Four of Wands, the Five of Wands, ooh, four and five, and then we've got the Knight of Swords, and then we've got the Wheel of Fortune, the Five of Swords, and Strength. Wow, what beautiful reading. Okay, so let's have a wee think about what this means. And guys, chip in, help me out here. Let me know what you guys think as well. Oh, Candy's here. She says, "Can't believe I caught alive." Hi, Candy. How you doing? Um, Jennifer says, "Yeah, me too. I've done a cave before when I was vegan, and that was yummy as well." Right. The so on the Five of Wands, kind of the Five of Wands seems to be more about um, the outward expression, and then this line feels more about the kind of a protecting yourself, right? So I'm going to approach it that way, but by all means, if you guys see this differently, then please, read it whatever way you see it. For me, what this is saying is that you need to channel the passion, okay? So the passion that you're naturally going to feel about this situation really kind of those strong emotions, that anger, that just that desire to take action and change things. Find some way to channel that, to give that form. We said the five is the energy from the four, individualized, it's given form. So you need to find some way to channel that energy, access that fire energy, and channel it, give it some sort of form, and you use that to fight your way through this dense forest, which is the shitty situation that you find yourself in. Now, the Knight of Swords suggests that We've got that kind of a what I like to call the keyboard warrior energy. So it might not be like you're going to be throwing punches, and what I would hope it's not. I don't want to be encouraging that. Um, but very kind of a strong verbal energy. Communicative. Thinking about how you use your words, and don't be scared to say what you think. If if there's bullshit that needs to be called out, then call it out. It's almost like they have this kind of a warrior stance. And what was interesting is this card came up on Sunday during the Zoom, and someone saw this as almost a restrictive. See this kind of a golden thread type thing that we see. It's almost like that's a restrictive force, a restrictive energy, and the knight is getting ready to cut themselves free from that. Um, so, I mean, we see the restrictive energy, we see the dense forest, and we see the lion taking action, bounding through that. We see the knight ready to cut through those binds. Um, so the key definitely seems to be accessing that passionate kind of a response that you have to the situation and giving that form. So it's not like just letting that energy just misfire and fire out energy. It needs to be very kind of a purpose filled, very targeted. Um, so I guess what it's saying is really kind of a thinking about how you're using that responsive energy. The second line, I said this feels more protective, and I get that both in Athena. I get that from all three cards, really. The Wheel of Fortune is almost like the chaos of the situation. You know, it's the everything's up in the air for me. The goddess Fortuna serves no master except chaos. She's it's not her job. She's not there to make sure that any scales are balanced or make sure that everyone's had their day in the sun or make sure that someone's happy. None of that shit. She doesn't care. It's absolute chaos. There's no rhyme or reason to when or how she turns the wheel. She just does. Okay, so there's a real chaotic feel that can be found in this fortune card. There is a kind of an advice in the card, and that we feel the turn of the wheel more when we're on it the outside of it, and quite often we try and scrape our way to the top. We think, I need to get to the top of this wheel, I need to get to the most fortunate position. In actual fact, the grace is found in the center of the wheel. Okay. Now, when you look at the entry, it's likened to kind of a self-awareness and all of that. But to me, it's like the answer is found in finding your way to the center of that wheel. So it's not so much about trying to get on top. It's not so much about trying to be the winner. It's gaining an overall understanding of the situation. And this is where Athena comes in as well, because she talks about having that understanding, really kind of a penetrating the situation with your intelligence and with your mind, and understanding what's going on and why it's going on, what is the cause and effect for everything that's happening. But also in the Athena card, we have this real protective feel as well. So it's almost like you need to find a way to protect yourself from the chaos that's going on. And we come nicely to the strength card, which, we see these prayer beads, maybe like you say, as about focusing on your more tarot practices, these kind of a things. But also we think of strength, we think of, taming that beast, gaining control over that beast. And again, it's like channeling the fire, channeling the lion, the passionate energy. Um, and the strength card, we see that come to fruition. The person has gained the ultimate control over that lion, which represents an aspect of themselves. Um, so yeah, that was a bit of a mishmash of information to throw at you. I hope that I've kind of done that in a way that's helpful and that you can at least piece it together and make sense of bits of it. Let me see, look back at the comments. Strong verbal energy will be key, says Deanne. Um, Jennifer says this is such a lovely deck. I don't have it yet. I think it's reasonably affordable, if I remember correctly, on like Amazon and stuff. It's not like mega bucks. Just make sure you're not like accidentally buying a first edition because they go for like hundreds. Um, Goodness me, that Wheel of Fortune card came up in my year ahead for the month that Vela was born, and that's relevant here as well. The Athena card goes right along with that, and then there's that lion. Then there's another lion. Yeah, definitely. Finding the way to the center makes sense. And the strength card from a different deck is the first card that I pulled about this situation a few weeks ago. Okay, all makes good sense. Okay. Well, I'm glad that was helpful. I can keep that there and send you a picture of that, Diane, once I'm done, because I know you like to kind of just keep a picture in your phone of different readings and stuff. So I'll do that once I'm done here. But yeah, quickly before we finish up, does anyone have any other thoughts on the cards that we've pulled? Um, by all means, pop them in the chat. Uh, what I'm going to do just now is I will pull up Google Calendar and I'll tell you when we should be doing this next. So it's the last Thursday of the month and then the Sunday before it that we do. So the last Thursday is actually Thursday, the 30th of June. It's the last day in June. So we will be live on YouTube on the 30th of June, doing the Mary L study group. And on the Sunday before that, which is the 26th, we will be meeting on Zoom. Did I say Zoom twice there? So on the 30th, on the Thursday, we'll be live on YouTube doing the sixes. And on the Sunday before that, the 26th, we'll be on Zoom, meeting on Zoom to talk about the sixes also. So yeah, definitely join in. If you're welcome, everyone is welcome to either the Zoom or the YouTube or both. And I definitely really appreciate everyone's contributions and stuff. Um, aw, you're the best. Love this deck and your studies have been helpful. Thank you. You're very welcome, Laura. I'm glad that it's helpful. That's what I'm aiming for. That makes me really happy. If you want copies of the previous slides, like I say, just send me a wee message. Right, is there anything I want to tell you before we finish up? Next week on Thursday, I'm going to be live with Kristen Louise, and we're going to be talking about or walking through the Star Rune Oracle, which is Kristen's Oracle deck, which is based around the Norse runes. So definitely be there for that, especially if you're interested in the runes. I've got a feeling that we'll learn a lot. So that's next Thursday with Kristen Louise. We'll be live here on YouTube at the usual 9 p.m. BST. Um, I am hopefully going to have another guest soon as well. I don't want to say too much because nothing's confirmed yet. But it's a creator of another deck that I'm a big fan of. That I'm hoping to have live with me at some point soon as well. So keep your eye out. Um, I think that's everything. Uh, I hope that you guys have had a good time. I certainly have. Thank you so much to everyone who's been here. Um, I really appreciate everyone who's brought questions. So thank you to Paula. Thanks, Deanne, for your lovely questions and for just helping us kind of get a wee bit closer to the deck. And thanks to everyone else for your contributions. Conrad, thank you especially to you for helping me out with my particular reading. Thank you for your insights and for your help with that. I really appreciate it. I think that's us, guys. Everyone, have an amazing Friday and a great weekend. Take care. I'll hopefully see you all at some point somewhere over the next week. Bye, everyone.